Hello and welcome to SGPN's A Daily Dog. I'm your host, Brent. I'm here with my favorite Underdog Fantasy Pick'em plays for Monday, July 21st, 2025. If you're new to Underdog Fantasy, sign up with the promo code DailyDog. That's DAILYDOG at UnderdogFantasy.com or on the Underdog Fantasy app for 50% deposit match bonus with up to $1,000. Best promo code out there. I got to say, I'm sorry for last week. I was not as around or as active on this feed as I should have been, but had some life changes underway, some timing changes, some scheduling changes. So I was just not able to get into the lab for this podcast as often as I would like. But that can change. That can change quickly. That might not, though. I might be reworking how this show comes out, how often it comes out. Need to spend some time talking to the brass at SGPN about that one because, as I said, I've had some changes, some life changes underway. Nothing bad, nothing to be worried about if anyone out there cares, but just the schedule and the 5 days a week thing is interfering with some other stuff I've got going on. So I'm going to have to work that one out. But stick with me. Make sure you're checking your podcast feed, and there will still be stuff happening here. So make sure you don't miss out. And let's try to hit some winners today. So let's get into it with baseball. You know, I love baseball. We're already well over halfway through the season. We're kind of in that home stretch here, which is always a little bit of a bittersweet situation. When MLB season, it feels like you have too many games. You'll never be able to, handicap them all. You won't make it through the season. Then you blink and July is almost over. But let's get to MLB entry number 1. Ezequiel Tovar, higher than 1.5 total bases against McGreevy, pitcher for the Cardinals. In this game as it's happening at Coors Field. I like to take advantage of some of these inexperienced young pitchers, and Michael McGreevy, the 25-year-old, definitely fits that bill going to Coors, going against, some actually decent hitters for the Rockies. They're just not a good team. They don't have enough of, they've a few scattered pieces here and there, but one of those scattered pieces is Ezequiel Tovar. So when he's healthy, when he's playing, I think he's going to be able to hit McGreevy well. I'm taking higher than 1.5 total bases there. He's missed a lot of time this year, but he's an extra base hit machine when he's active and at it. So Ezequiel Tovar higher than 1.5 total bases. And then I'm going to take Brent Rooker higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs against Jack Leiter. Jack Leiter, another young pitcher, righty, but we know that our man Brent Rooker can handle righties just as easy. Leiter's had some mixed results lately. His last one was a start, his last start was a win, but he before that he had lost 6 in a row. The team had lost 6 in a row when he had started. I'm not talking about his, his registered losses, but he did lose 4 out of his previous 6 starts on the stat sheet. But I think that Brent Rooker is one of those dudes. I mean, again, I don't know if he's moving. I don't know if he's going to be around with the Athletics much longer as the deadline approaches, but I really do like Jack Leiter to give up some hits to Brent Rooker. So Brent Rooker higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Ezequiel Tovar higher than 1.5 total bases. Straight up flat 3x multiplier there. MLB entry number 2, we're going Dominic Smith of the Giants, who's been pretty good for this Giants team against lefties. Dominic Smith against righties, I should say. He's kind of a matchup hitter, but give me Dominic Smith higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He's had some multi-hit games lately. He's gotten some home runs. He's actually been pretty good on this new squad. So I like Dominic Smith here in this matchup versus the Braves and Bryce Elder. Pairing that with Zach Gallen, pitcher for the Diamondbacks, higher than 2.5 earned runs allowed. Zach Gallen is 7-10 on the year with a 5.4 ERA. It's not a sample size issue. He's just not been very good. He allowed 6 earned in his last start against the Angels. Prior to that, he had 2 good starts, but prior to that, he'd allowed 5, 7, 4, 4. I just don't think that he is, that pitcher, that ace that he once was, and that the Astros offense woke up yesterday. I don't think it's going to stop. I mean, the Astros are getting by with, loose pieces after they've had so many injuries to their lineup, but I just don't trust Gallen at all to shut it down. So give me Zach Gallen higher than 2.5 earned runs allowed and Dominic Smith higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. That's a 3.78x multiplier. Continuing with MLB entry number 3, we're going to go Eury Perez higher than 5.5 strikeouts. Young, tall pitcher for the Marlins as the Padres come to town. Padres offense is just not very good. They have a good record because they have good pitching. but they don't necessarily score a bunch of runs, or they don't score runs in bunches, and they definitely do swing at the ball. Eury Perez is a guy who can get high strikeout numbers. I think higher than 5.5 strikeouts is a good bargain here, and you're getting an enhanced multiplier with it. And then take Brendan Donovan of the Cardinals, higher than 8.5 fantasy points. Usually the leadoff man against Austin Gomber. Gomber obviously not been great this year in limited time, 1.6 whip, 5.65 ERA. So give me Brendan Donovan in that leadoff spot most days for the Cardinals, higher than 8.5 fantasy points at Coors Field, with Eury Perez higher than 5.5 strikeouts. That's 3.51x multiplier. MLB entry number 4, going to go back to that Marlins game against the Padres. I'm taking Agustin Ramirez, higher than 0.5 RBIs. Randy Vasquez is probably going to be the starter for the Padres. It could change. There's a little bit of questions there by the time this goes out, but it doesn't really matter. Agustin Ramirez is just a good hitter. He can hit homers, so he can get the RBI from himself. But as long as he's batting second or third, there's going to be good base runners on. So I like Agustin Ramirez, higher than 0.5 RBIs. Then I'm take Will Smith, the Dodger, higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs against David Festa. And the Twins don't love Festa. I do love the way that, the way that Will Smith has been playing for the past month and a half. So I'm going to be rolling with Will Smith, higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Agustin Ramirez, higher than 0.5 RBIs for a 3.42x multiplier. All right, pitchers lineup number 1. This is the combo first inning runs allowed. Tyler Anderson, Kodai Senga, lower than 0.5 first inning runs allowed. Tyler Anderson, the lefty, he's going to have to go against some right-handed batters early on, but I think he can get out of an inning. And then Kodai Senga has been nailed this year. I mean, the dude's been awesome. I think he's going to get out of the first inning just fine. So as long as Tyler Anderson can give us 3 outs quick, we should be good here. Pairing that with Joey Lopez and Jack Leiter in that Athletics Rangers games, higher than 0.5 first inning runs allowed. I don't think Joey Lopez is very consistent on the road. I think Jack Leiter is a streaky young pitcher. I think that the bats in these lineups are fine. Rangers had a slower offensive day yesterday, but back at home they should be hitting better. And the Athletics have a really tricky lineup, especially at the top. So give me higher than 0.5 first inning runs allowed there. That's a 3x multiplier. Pitchers number 2, Hayden, Birdsong, Bryce Elder, higher than 0.5 first inning runs allowed in that Giants-Braves game. Birdsong, hard-throwing young pitcher. Bryce Elder, a veteran with some issues as of late. I think that there's going to be a home run in this first inning, so I'm going to take higher than 0.5 first inning runs allowed. Then Carlos Rodon and Kevin Gausman, lower than 0.5 first inning runs allowed. Carlos Rodon is usually very, very good in the first 2-3 innings of his starts. And then Kevin Gausman has been around. He knows these batters. They know him, which could be a disadvantage, but I think Gausman can get out of an inning here. So that is going to be that Hayden, Birdsong, Bryce Elder, higher than 0.5 first inning runs allowed. Carlos Rodon, Kevin Gausman, lower than 0.5 first inning runs allowed, 3x multiplier. Let's do a quick little tennis segment here. They're back in North America. That makes things a little bit better for our viewing pleasure. So I'm going to take Giovanni and Pesci Pericard, higher than 25.5 games played against Vukic. I think we're going 3 sets here, but I do think that 2 tie breaks and 2 sets could also be a path to victory in this one. Pericard is obviously a dominant server, not always great on return. He's had some tough days. Vukic isn't that great, and he's had some tough days, but I do think that he'll gut out a set here. So I think we're going higher than 25.5 games played in Pericard versus Vukic. Then I'm taking Magda Linette, lower than 0.5 sets won versus Danielle Collins, who's on her retirement tour, has been on her retirement tour. I just don't think Linette is going to be as locked in as Collins is here. Collins back in North America. This is where she makes her hay. 3.27x multiplier on that tennis entry. Tennis entry number 2, a little bit more of a lotto here. Maria Sakkari, lower than 0.5 sets won against Katie Bolter. Bolter does mess around, I should say, and drop some sets and then comes back. But Sakkari has just been terrible for like the last 2 years. I think Bolter on this surface is going to have a massive advantage. So I think Sakkari is losing in straight sets. And then I'm going to take Lerner Tien, higher than 22.5 games played against Emiliano Nava. Nava, obviously a very good young player. Tien, very good young player. I think that these Americans are going to go to a third set and get over 22.5 games played. 4.89x multiplier. Lotto entry number 1, Walker Buehler, higher than 3.5 earned runs allowed. You know that I'm no love lost for me in Walker Buehler. Rafael Devers, former teammate of Walker Buehler, higher than 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. And Haesung Kim, higher than 1.5 total bases for the Dodgers against Festa. 15.89x, flex it, 7.94x if it goes 3 for 3, 2.08x if it goes 2 out of 3 on the flex. Dong squad number 1, Hunter Goodman, Love Hunter Goodman, higher than 0.5 home runs at home at Coors Field. Pete Alonso, higher than 0.5 home runs. I feel like he'll get to Tyler Anderson in his second or third time through the order. And then Tommy Edman, higher than 0.5 home runs. The guy woke up a little bit the other day. Let's see if he can keep it up. 80.25x multiplier, flex it 40.12x if it goes 3 for 3, 7.82x if it goes 2 out of 3, flex the Dong Squad. Dong Squad number 2, Nick Kurtz, one of these wonderkins on athletics, higher than 0.5 home runs allowed against Jack Leiter. Seiya Suzuki, higher than 0.5 home runs allowed against young lefty Noah Cameron. Eugenio Suarez, one of the home run leaders in all of baseball, higher than 0.5 home runs for the D-backs, 46.28x if it goes 3 for 3, flex it 23.14x or 4.26x if it goes 2 out of 3 on the flex. All right, that's all I got for you today. Good luck on your picks, and let's make some money.